How many Solana do you need to retire? How much money do you need to put in right now? Well, it's different for everyone because everyone spends different amounts. Everyone has a different idea on where Solana is going to go this bull run, next bull run, 10 years from now. So today I'm going to lay it out for you. Depending on how bullish you are, we'll look at how much Solana you need depending on how much you spend. And we'll look at how you can get more Solana, how much you need if you want to have more than the average person on Earth as well. So there's a lot to cover. This is one of the fun videos, not drilling into the news, just looking and imagining life a while from now. Wealthy with a lot of time, a lot of power, a lot of money, a lot of Solana. So let's go through that. If you don't mind hitting subscribe so you can see future videos just like this. I do these videos every 6 months or a year on Solana, Ethereum, Cardano, XRP, Bitcoin. I do them a little bit more often with Bitcoin. So if you like this video, I know that I should do more on Solana. Also, if you want to trade Solana, there's a link to BYDeFi underneath the video. You can sign up in just a few minutes, and you can actually use CoinW, which allows you to trade Solana with Solana as collateral. I've done that, and I've gotten insanely good returns. The cool thing about this is you can actually flip your Solana into more Solana, so you can actually gain Solana, which has gone up in value while you're trading it too, which is just kind of awesome. They also have some different new user bonuses right now, 10 to 50% deposit bonuses going for a couple more days, July 23rd, but we always have new bonuses going on. And there's a little bit of extra money too when you start trading. We're giving you free Bitcoin. Actually, you can already be a member and you can get this free Bitcoin up to $10,000 worth. We're going to run more of these in the future too. So check that out underneath the video. Let's start here. Solana, trading at $195 at the time of this recording. I remember making these videos during the bull market, during the bear market as well, when Solana was trading for just $10, $20. I was making these videos, and oh man, have things changed significantly. We've gone a 10x on Solana from 2 years ago, a 20x from the bottom. So you're making really good returns if you've been able to dollar cost average over time. Obviously, a lot of cryptos up near all-time highs, at all-time highs. Solana still about 30% down from its high, 33%. It went up to $295 just very quickly around when President Trump came into office. So to get up to new all-time highs, it'd have to go up 50%. So still, a decent way away from all-time highs. But let's talk about how much you need to retire. Obviously, some people starting to come into crypto, starting to look at altcoins. The main goal of investing is to be able to make wealth so that you can spend your time how you want. So I would, first of all, disclaimer, I would suggest not retiring from just Cardano or just Solana or just Ethereum. I would try to gain a nice portfolio that's diversified in a couple different cryptos that you feel strongly about. But today we'll look at just Solana because that's the topic of this video. Some assumptions. We're going to use the 4% rule, which comes from traditional finance, basically saying if you have a $1 million portfolio, you can take 4% of that. You can live on 4% for a very long time with a very small chance of losing your money or going down to zero. And we'll also assume that you get a 1% staking reward. So we're doing a 4% safe withdrawal rate plus a 1% staking reward, which Solana, you can stake, you basically secure the network, and you get rewarded. It pays more than 1%, but let's say you only use a portion of your portfolio. We'll keep it conservative. So we're going to say if you have $1 million, you can spend $50,000 of Solana because you get the 1% staking reward. And I don't know how you live, right? I don't know if you spend $100,000 a year. I don't know if you spend $1 million. I don't know if you spend $10,000. There are people in all different income brackets that live differently, have different goals. So these are the 5 different scenarios. Coasting, fire staying for financial independence, retire early. This takes the least amount of money. Basically, you're going to funnel as much money into this over the next couple years, and then Solana is going to go to our different price targets that we're going to show. Let's say it goes to $1,000. And then after that, it's going to grow by 8% a year for the next 25 years. So basically, you're putting a ton of it away in 8 years, you're still not going to have enough to retire, but as it grows, it will eventually turn into enough. So like some people call this barista fire, or like, you quit your day job that's stressing out, that makes good money, and you go like live a more simple life, or you only work part of the year or something like that. Then lean fire, like you live life very lean. You're spending just over $4,000 a month. We'll call it $50,000 in annual expenses. Some people in certain areas may only need this amount to live on. For most people in the U.S., I think that would be a little bit low if you have a family. But if you're single, or you live in some other country, maybe you're living on $50,000 a year. Traditional fire, so like traditional financial independence, we'll call $100,000 a year in annual expenses. Fat fire, basically meaning you live life fat, like you can spend $250,000 a year. And then filthy rich fire, you have $1 million a year that you can spend. $1 million a year. So $83,000 a month you're spending. Well, this tells us how much we need, but then how high is Solana going to go? I'm not telling you that it's going to go to a certain price at a certain time. I'm going to lay out some different scenarios. If it goes up to $250, that's a very small gain. It doesn't matter when we say this is 2033, let's call it 2 cycles from now. So we peak out this year, 4 years go by, we peak out again, and then 4 years go by and we peak out again. $250 would be very low in my opinion. I think there maybe is as much a chance that Solana is at like $0 as is $250 in 8 years. Just because I think Solana won't stay at the current price. It will probably go up significantly, but if it's not going up significantly, I think there's probably something that's disrupted it, or something happened to it, or something like that. So I'm not bearish on it, but this is like a very bearish scenario. This means that the market cap would only grow 25% over the next 8 years. And we're not accounting for like the new supply or anything like that, because it'll be offset a bit by staking, and it's hard to know exactly where it's going to go. But let's say Solana goes up to $500. Still not a huge gain for crypto. That's a 150% gain basically from $200 over the next 8 years. We'll say this is kind of like the base case scenario, $1,000, so a 4x over the next 8 years. Still, I think maybe a little bit bearish. This is a 10x. You're passing the $1 trillion mark then for the fully diluted market cap. And then $8,000. Bullish. That's bullish. That's a 40x from here. A $4 trillion, $4.3 trillion market cap. That puts it about twice that of Bitcoin right now. Of course, there will be a lot of money printing. Bitcoin's probably going to go up significantly. So let's say Bitcoin's trading at a couple $1 million, and maybe Solana overtakes as the top layer one because it's fast, it's cheap, maybe it's used more than it is today. There's a scenario where it could be a multi-trillion-dollar market cap. So yeah, maybe Bitcoin's trading at 20 trillion and Solana as the top layer one's at 4 trillion. So that's why I include it here. So depending on how much you think Solana is going to go to and how much you spend, you can figure out how many tokens you need. So let's start here. Let's say you spend $100,000 a year and you think Solana is going to $1,000. So you're basically saying Solana is going to 5x. You'll need 2,000 tokens. 2,000. So 2,000 tokens times $1,000 is $2 million. Remember, we're taking 5% of that. 5% of $2 million is $100,000 a year that you can sell and turn into fiat and live on. Let's say you think Solana is going up to $1,000 and you want to spend $1 million a year. You need 20,000 tokens. Okay, that's pretty expensive. Now we'll get into how much this costs in a minute, but you'll need 20,000 Solana. Maybe you only need $50,000 a year and you think it's going up to $1,000. You'll need 1,000 tokens. Or let's say you think it's going to $8,000 and you only need $50,000 a year. You need 125 Solana. So quick back of the napkin math. Solana is about $200 now. So 125 times 200, you need about $25,000 of Solana. I realize that's not easy for a lot of people. We'll get into how you can accumulate this, but yeah, it's not going to be easy for everyone to retire on Solana. Like, you still need some money to put into it, even if it 40x's. You need still, $1 million or more to retire in this scenario when you're taking 5% and you're spending $50,000 or $100,000. So it's still not like you can put in $10 into Solana and then retire. But maybe you want to get a little bit more aggressive. Maybe you think, well, I can take out more than 5% a year because maybe I'm getting 2% staking, or maybe I think it's going to have even better returns than the S&P 500 has. Of course, this is very volatile, so it's not perfect to use because the 4% rule is based on like a stock and bond portfolio. So there's more diversification, right? But again, we're limited here. So let's say you want to take out 6%. Well, instead of 2,000 Solana at $1,000, spending $100,000 a year, you need just under 1,700. Okay, so you need less. So that's great. But how much would this cost in US dollars? Well, the cost today at, let's call it $195. If you need 2,000 of them, you need $390,000. That's not cheap. Let's say you want to buy 20,000 of them. You need almost $4 million. Now, before you get mad at me, this is just math, right? If you think Solana is going to go up 5x and you need $20 million, then you need to put in about $4 million, right? So it's just how it works. But if you had bought 2 years ago, this is not cherry picking the bottom of the bear market either. Like Solana 2 years ago, let's call it August of 2023 or July, whatever, right in here, was right around $20 to $25. And it was this way. It was actually lower for like a year before this. It started to move up after this. So like if you had bought, not even cherry picking the bottom, but you bought 2 years ago, well, you need a lot less money. So instead of $390,000, you need $42,000. Instead of $3.9 million, you need $420,000. What if you had bought at the bottom of the bear market? Well, you need, instead of $390,000 to buy 2,000 tokens, instead of that, you need $18,000 because Solana went all the way down to $9. So if you have the wherewithal to be able to buy during the bear market, that's going to help you a lot. Like if you just buy when people are fearful, you're going to do really well. The other side of it is that's when things seem riskier, right? The reason it was $9 was because we didn't know if it was going to be here in a couple months. It sounds crazy now because we have confirmation bias, but the second largest exchange in the world was heavily invested in Solana. This is right after one of the largest tokens in the world, Luna, had collapsed to zero. And FTX had billions of dollars of Solana. So a lot of people thought it might go down. So that's why it fell down 95% very quickly. So it was hard to buy, but if you had done it, you would have come out way ahead. What about if you had bought even before that? Like if you had bought back in 2020, like it was cheap. You could have bought this when it was coming up for $1. You need $2,000 in Solana at $1 to be able to retire. Of course, that's assuming 1,000x. So that doesn't happen very often in crypto. What I like to do, actually, instead of trying to find tokens that are $1, they're turning into $1,000, I prefer to leverage trade these larger tokens. Like I'd rather leverage trade Solana and bet that maybe it's going to 500 this bull run. So it's going to 2.5x. It's going to go up 150%. But if I use 3x leverage, that 150% gain turns into 450%, or 5x or 10x, right? You get 150% gain on 10x, that's 1,500%. You put in $100, you get $1,500 of profit. $100 turns into $1,500. That's crazy. So I'd rather do that because a lot of the time when you buy these smaller tokens, like if you buy something that's really new, that's a small market cap, a lot of the time they go down to zero. So I'd be careful of that. But with Solana, if you'd done it, you would have made a lot of money. So the Solana supply right now, 538 million tokens. Maybe you're a little bit down. You're saying, well, I couldn't buy at the bottom of the bear market. I don't have $400,000. First of all, you don't need to retire on just Solana. Also, you don't need to retire just in the next 8 years. Like if you think an asset's going to 4x, it's still going to take a lot of money to be able to retire on it. So that's okay. If you want more than the average person, it doesn't take very much. 538 million tokens. Let's say the supply in 10 years is 600 million. So it goes up about 10, 15%. Population on Earth right now is 8 billion people. This might be a little bit low too, the supply, but let's say some get burned or something, or people lose them, right? The population in 10 years, let's say, goes up 1% a year, 8.8 billion people. That means everyone on Earth can have 0.07 Solana. 0.07. That times $195. Everyone can buy about what is equivalent of $13 worth of Solana now. Of course, there are a lot of people, though, that have significant amounts of SOL, so it's not going to be distributed evenly by any means. There are SOL strategy companies, Ethereum strategy companies, Bitcoin, XRP, SUI. So I think more companies are going to buy these kinds of assets, and it's going to be harder to get your hands on it as time goes on. Let me know your thoughts on this underneath the video. Are you encouraged by this? Is this fun? Let me know. I do have videos on Ethereum, Bitcoin, Cardano. So you can search. I just did one on XRP recently. You can search My Financial Friend, how much blank you need to retire, and you can watch those videos. If you do want to trade, like I said, there are links to BYDeFi underneath the video. I really like this platform, and they're giving away a lot of money right now, so you might as well get the free money. Of course, if you want to try something else, we do have links to BTCC, BitUniX, WEEX, BLOFIN underneath the channel, or underneath in the description. If you want early access to videos like this, I have a link to the Telegram underneath the video as well. I post videos like this early in there. I'm posting this early in there so you can get access to them even earlier. It's completely free. Thanks so much. I'll see you in the next one.